folks. Welcome and welcome back. Today we are recapping the much anticipated series premiere of From. So, Tabitha is in the real world. I know before we were trying to figure out, did she actually get to the real world or was she in another area of Fromville? But we see that she's actually in Camden, Maine at St. Anthony's Hospital. She leaves the hospital. She's trying to avoid the police because, it's understandable. Because how is she going to explain that her children and her husband are still missing? So she's outside wandering around, and Tabitha sees the boy in white. So I'm wondering, is she hallucinating or is he really in the real world? And now I feel like he's playing games because he's waving at her, but like, little sir, can you help her out? You pushed her out of the lighthouse with no instructions. You're saying that this is the only way, but yet you see her out in the real world and you're just waving happily. Um, and so then we see Boyd at the police station nursing his wounds. Father Khatri shows up, and I don't know why they decided to kill off Father Khatri if they were just going to bring him back as a hallucination. They made it seem like he had some bigger part to play, but they ended up killing him off. So I don't understand that. Anyway, Ethan wants to find his mommy, poor thing. So Jim decides to go look for Tabitha. Boyd is trying to convince him not to go out, but Jim ain't hearing that. So Kenny decides to go with him to keep him safe. And then at Colony House, we see Fatima, who has morning sickness. She's in the bathroom, and then there's this like really just rude, annoying girl who keeps banging at the door. And I'm sure at this point, everyone in Colony House knows that Tabitha is pregnant. So I don't know why she was being so extra. Anyway, I think that something is going to be wrong with the baby. And I forgot to mention in my From Reddit Theories video that some people believe that the ghoul that's haunting Elgin may be a vision of Fatima in the future. People think that Fatima might turn into a ghoul or that her baby might bust out of her stomach like in Alien. So we'll see. Donna and the others find that the crops are rotten. And did I mention before that it's getting colder? So it's never been cold in Fromville. So, this is different for them. Anyway, they don't have much food left. People from Colony House then go and they're storming Mrs. Chen's house. So things are starting to kind of devolve into chaos. Then we see Randall taking one of the goats, Alma. Ethan and Victor try to stop him, but of course, Randall pushes Victor. And I'm already tired of Randall's bitch ass. But Victor was not playing with Randall, okay? I yelped when Victor pulled out that gun on Randall. I forgot that he had a gun, but I was like, yes, Victor, shoot him. And they should have let him shoot Randall, but of course, they're not going to do that. I don't like him and I don't want to see him, but I know they're going to keep him around. And hopefully they don't try to have this like redemption arc for him, but they're probably going to do that. Anyway, I hope Victor does get his gun back. So Jim and Kenny head to the forest to look for Tabitha. And so I'm thinking if Jim didn't treat Victor like shit, maybe Victor would have taken him to the bottleneck trees so that he can have an actual chance of finding his wife. But they treat Victor like crap. So anyway, they see a bunch of weird skeleton figures in the forest, and I don't think we've ever seen those before. And then later on, Jim realizes that he should head back home to his children so that they at least have one parent left. And I think that's what everyone was trying to tell you before, Jim. But he is just so hard headed and he always thinks he's right. But at least he realized and got some sense that he needs to go back to his children because they need him. So back in Maine, Tabitha goes to a church and she's in a confessional. And I don't know if they've ever mentioned Tabitha's religion before, but I'm assuming that she's Christian. So she's questioning God because of all the horrible things that have happened to her. And I don't blame her. It's that nagging question of if God exists, why does it allow bad things to happen? I was also getting some vibes from the priest that Tabitha was talking to. I'm not sure exactly what vibes, but it was it was weird. So on the one hand, he genuinely seemed curious and interested in what she was saying. Maybe he's heard this story before. Maybe from someone who escaped from Fromville, like maybe Eloise. Maybe she spoke to him before, and so this story seems familiar to him. So he's not like thinking she's crazy. And then he also prompted her to open the lunchbox in which she sees Victor's address. So I don't know, I might be reading too much into this scene. So Tabitha was able to find Victor's old home, and look who she runs into. She runs into Victor's father. I thought that she was going to run into Eloise, but she may later on in the season, we may see Eloise pop up. So back at Fromville, Boyd, Donna, and Mrs. Chen are trying to figure out what to do about their food shortage. They decide to kill the animals for food, and so we see now that it's nighttime, and the monsters are opening the gate and the barn, and they let all the animals out. So I initially thought that the monsters were going to kill the animals to take away the town's food supply, but then we quickly realized it's a setup to get them folks outside. And Boyd fell for it. I know the animals were supposed to be their source of survival for the next month, but I wish Boyd would have thought instead of reacting. Like, how did the animals just get out and start roaming around? That has never happened before, so why is it happening now? But ultimately, I do understand why they went outside to save the animals. This is out of desperation, they're in survival mode. So once they're outside, I thought they were going to take the animals to the nearest homes. Like they could have taken the little goats to the post office or the police station. Um, Maybe the cows wouldn't have fit there, but the goats would have. But taking them back to the barn was a huge risk. And can I say I am very disappointed in Ethan? I thought he was a smart kid, but he decided to open the door for Alma when he knew the grown-ups were out there handling it. Like Alma was fine. Alma was chilling. Alma wasn't concerned about the monsters, and the monsters were not concerned about her. And he is lucky that Sarah helped save him and Julie's ass. So then they see Randall, and Randall's annoying ass decides to be helpful. So I guess that's the least he can do. And then also, I was just like, look at Victor stepping up to help with the animals and saving Jade, and just generally stepping up this whole episode. So I was like, all right, Victor, I see you. I'm seeing some growth in Victor. It seems like he is becoming braver. Before, he was more avoidant, and now he's in the action. And Mr. Milkman Monster, he did not have to kill the cow like that. Like, she did not deserve to die like that. So I know the monsters were smart. We've seen that before, but they were particularly calculating this episode. They were already hiding in the barn when the door was closed. So when Boyd and Mrs. Chen got in there, the talisman did not work. So they ultimately outsmarted them. Like they had this all planned out. The monsters know Boyd and the townsfolk so well, they are able to play on their weaknesses. Oh, and now we get to the last scene of the episode. And they didn't have to do Miss Chen like that. Like, I did not expect Miss Chen to die. I didn't see her death coming. And I almost thought for a second that it was a dream sequence. I was prepared to be mad when Boyd woke up, but then, the show just ended. So I was like, oh, that was for real. Like, she actually died. So, now poor Kenny, because he ain't got no parents left. He's probably gonna blame himself for leaving a whack ass Jim. But I hope he doesn't blame Boyd because their relationship cannot take any more strain. But I think that Kenny might go off the deep end. I think we're gonna see that this season from him. All right, so that was from the season premiere. It was a really good episode. I'm glad that we got some answers about where Tabby is. I'm sad to see that Mrs. Chen did die, but hopefully we continue to get some answers. So what did y'all think of episode 1 of From? Leave your comments down below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Thank you. Bye.